And these, you know, you can't really carry them in your purse without them getting all dirty and then be afraid to use them. Now, I know most of you have questions about tampons. Okay? And you see the difference in them. It's real important, if you wear these, that you change them with the flow, because you don't want them in there really being very absorbent, and that really increases your rate of getting toxic shock syndrome. It also makes them hard in there, and they're very hard to get out. And that also can be pretty frightening. If you think you have a need to do this, if you're just in a swim meet and you've been practicing all year and it's the championship and I got to swim and I got my period, work with your mother and see if you can work out a way if you just have to wear them. If it's just plain old normal everyday activities, I think what you should do is stick to the pad.
I tried to put on a tampon.
2 o'clock in the morning, I get this phone call. She said her dad is. And she says, Mama, guess what? I said, Sean, is anything wrong? No, I got a tampon halfway. I said, Sean, that is so wonderful. And I said, remember what Billy said? You really don't? She says, no, I don't think I'm going to use this, but I was trying everything.
One real important thing for keeping up with your periods is charting. And these are enough for mothers and daughters to each get one. And then I'm going to explain what we do with them. Sometimes when you first start getting your period, or sometimes when you've had your period many years, it's kind of hard to remember the last time it came on and when is it due again. Also, say for instance, if during the month you had a headache and you didn't know really where it came from or what, you might want to put an H on whatever that day to see if it has something to do with your period. Or if one day you were feeling real moody and you're saying, I don't even like myself today. Why am I feeling like this? I really can't explain it. Nobody's even said anything to me or anything. Go and put a B in there so you can check that out and see what it is, you know. And over a period of a year, you'll be really surprised what you learn about your period. There's another funny thing about your period, you know. Your period, when you get real excited and something's going to happen, or you're just real nervous about something, your period gets real nervous too. And it can come on very early and very unexpected. So, say for instance, we were getting ready to go to Africa and I was all excited. My period came like 5 days early. My period wanted to go to Africa. Hey, went right along with me. So I was all worked up inside. And your emotions will have a lot to do with your period. So it might come earlier or it might be later. We talked a few minutes ago about cramps. And I want to know, what are some of the things you do for cramps? Anybody in here have cramps? Anybody still have them?
I have them sometimes.
You have them sometimes. You're having them right now,
right? Give me like some Advil, some Tylenol, something to knock the pain out, because I literally can't deal with it. They get so bad that I can't stand it. I don't want to do, I can't go to sleep. You know, it's like, just give me the medication and I'm fine.
Until I started taking birth control pills, I had the knockdown, drag-out kind, where my temperature would go up, but also I'd break out in a cold sweat. And I'd just be curled up, and the cramps would come closer and closer and closer together, like labor pains. And people had been saying everything like, you don't wash your hair when you get your period, you don't get your feet wet. I mean, not only don't you take a bath or a shower, you just don't get your feet wet. And if you've been out in the rain, you say, oh, that's why you got the cramps.
Right.
And I also got the thing about it's all in your head.
I like to be in a tub of water, which is something that's real strange because growing up, I was told not to get in water at all on your period.
Yeah.
What about exercise?
Yeah, real
good.
Yeah. It would take me out for 1 to 2 days every single month. And I thought I would never get over it. I would just be totally depleted. You know, having a baby, getting pregnant meant I didn't have cramps.
My cramps was totally opposite. I didn't start having cramps until after my daughter came. You know, I mean, I was running around being happy, go lucky, and free until my daughter came, and then all of a sudden I started having cramps.
What's this premenstrual syndrome they talk about on TV? And you get the PMS, premenstrual syndrome pill, and it'll make you feel better. Does everybody get it? Or?
Premenstrual syndrome is a few days before you get your period. Some women notice a nervousness. They feel real tense. They feel bloated. Some people feel like they're almost going crazy. But you have two things operating. Do you really feel bad before your period? And what's the power of suggestion if they start selling them on TV?
I find that my PMS is positive for me because it allows me to write. That's when I really feel the urge to write. I can write all night long, and I know it's time for my period.
It's been a long time since I started.
It started a long time before it really started.
Now it's bringing it all back to me.
I was sit there and look for it. When ain't it coming? I'm like, I'm weird or something.
And all of this period fell off the roof. Boys start teasing you, and daddies really start getting real protective.
What is hard about letting your father know?
So you would literally own the Red Cross nurses started putting presents inside a menstrual fluid, and they are the ones who really invented them. Well, all the people who roll their hair with sanitary napkins. You can ask your mom at what age her period started, but that might not mean that yours will start. What interesting things happened between last night and today?
On the way home, Melissa and I talked just about nonstop, didn't we, Mel? On the way home, and it was really wonderful. You know, even though she had a seatbelt on and she was in the back seat, I could see she was leaning forward, kind of talking. You know? And it was really nice. You know, we both agreed that we need to spend time talking with each other. I have a younger daughter, and she manages to weave her way through, you know, our conversations sometimes and all. And so that was a very nice offshoot of what we had talked about last night.
Wonderful.
It's really special.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I think that I was hoping that Daphne would express how she felt, but when she was quite excited last night, she says, "Oh, this is so much greater than I thought it was going to be." And she said, "I just look forward to tomorrow night." So I think it's just real good.
Yeah, but now comes the harder part. But Mama, you're good at this. You hung with me through all 8 years of my changes. But it's hard talking about these things.
What I'd like to know, I would like for the parents, for the mothers, to share with us what some of your feelings are right now about being in this group and sharing information about sex and birth control with your daughters.
I feel good, and I think that the more times that we can come together as parents to begin to break down some of the barriers, and even just to talk about us being scared and how we get, you know, even because I know, you know, even I know the right way, I still get have anxiety when my child come to me and say, I like a 16-year-old guy. You know, I still, okay, you know, I still have my moment of panic. But it's healthy if I could have other mothers to say, you know, gosh, that happened to me. Oh, God, you know, I know that you're supposed to do all this, but it freaks me out. And that we are able to have our daughters to listen to us talk about that, and also that they can get the messages together. So, you know, I feel good being able to be here.
I think what I'm feeling as a mother sitting here is feeling, I still feel scared. You know, I still feel, in a lot of ways, you wish that your children wouldn't ever become sexual beings, that they were kept that, you know, real nice childhood innocence forever. Because those of us who know that the road is very different once you start traveling on it. So there's a part that wishes that, but then there's the exciting part that says we have to do this sharing because the consequences of it are much, that is even more frightening than to not do it. But also knowing that certainly in our communities, we are not used to talking about this.
Yes.
That's right.
I think that that's one of the problems that I would have. I mean, because I could not, Daphne at 11 could not come home and tell me she's interested in a 16-year-old boy, and I not feel inadequate, you know, and I not know what to say to her other than, I don't know what you're talking about. This is your problem. I have to be completely honest, and what I'm saying is that I would not be prepared to deal with that. And neither would I want to deal with it. And therefore, even though I would have to, yes, and therefore that's why this would be as important for me to have these kinds of relationship with women and to talk about what was going on, because my background is such that, I mean, I was 16, 17, 18, and I didn't date, you know. I mean, because, that was the bottom line. That was not my role in society at that time or in the family. You know, I had a particular role, and it didn't include that, you see. And I sort of feel that way now. But I'm willing, do you understand? I'm willing to adjust with the times because I know it's different. But what I'm trying to as my daughter says, very, what I'm trying to say is that I would be one of those parents who would need help in understanding this and accepting this. And getting through it and coping with it.
Sean went to a little dance at elementary school, like from 5 to 7. And I picked her up, she was 10 years of age. And I was a mother who, I've been talking to them. I don't let nothing go. I say whatever word they need me to say. I make it as much attractive to them if they need to make it attractive. But 10-year-old picked up and she says, "Oh, Mama, I slow drag with this boy and I had these funny feelings. I almost died." And I said to myself, "Lord, are you testing me this early? Is it this early?" But at 10 years of age, what I had to say to her was, "That's wonderful. That's exciting that you are discovering that you have feelings when you see a guy. And that's normal, that's healthy. That's saying more about who you are and that you can relate to other people." I say, but there's been some misinformation about what that can mean.
We really give a lot of mixed messages to young people. And I think teenagers, because their bodies are changing so rapidly, their hormones are producing, and it's making them feel real funny and real strange. And we have to be able to say, we understand that we know that you're going to be more in tune to your sexuality because you are changing and because it's normal for you to be interested in the opposite sex. So what we're going to do, first of all, is to talk just a little bit about anatomy and physiology, because I think it's real important that you understand how your bodies work. And we're just going to sort of briefly go through this because I'm sure all of you have had some of this in your science classes. But let's look first at the male anatomy. And I'm looking at these great smiles on his face. If the moms could turn around and see these smiles. And you'd be surprised the number of adult women who don't know what external organs are or internal organs are, or what parts of the male that they need to be concerned with, or at least be able to identify. They've never seen the male anatomy on film. They've never seen it. So they really don't have the knowledge base. Many women are embarrassed to look at the male anatomy and talk about it. This is the penis, and these are the two testicles hanging behind. Hormones make them change during puberty. Inside the testicle, sperm is produced. When the penis is aroused, semen, a fluid full of sperm, rushes out of the testicle through a tube into the urethra located in the penis, where it is ejaculated from the body. The male has one opening where he urinates from and also one opening where he ejaculates from, and that's where the sperm come out. We always get questions, especially from the guys who
are going through the same stage that many of you are right now, 11 and 12, and they're having wet dreams. They're just beginning to produce sperm. And at night, they wake up and their sheets are all wet in the morning. They want to know, well, what happened? Did I wet the bed? Well, no, you didn't really wet the bed because you can't urinate and ejaculate at the same time. Now for the female anatomy. Strangely enough, we are also often uncomfortable looking at our own bodies. But for a variety of health reasons, we really need to get to know our bodies. Get a hand mirror and place it between your legs. Here is what you will see. These are the outer lips, and these are the inner lips, which protect this sensitive area. This is the clitoris, the place where many of those funny, scary, delightful feelings come from. Here is the urethra, where your urine comes out. And this is the vagina, where your menstrual flow comes from, and babies emerge. Back there is the anus for your bowel movement. Each month, hormones tell one of your ovaries to release an egg which is taken into a fallopian tube and moved to the uterus where a lining rich with blood has been building up. The egg, if it meets no sperm, disintegrates and the lining breaks up and flows through the cervix and the vagina and out of your body. That's menstruation. Now, during intercourse, during sexual intercourse, the penis enters the vagina, and that's where the sperm are deposited. And I'm going to show you how that fertilization takes place, because it's important for you to understand contraception. You don't really understand how it works unless you know what's happening physiologically in your body. Oh, my love. You can become aroused by kissing and touching sensitive parts of the body, or simply by looking at something stimulating. Your heart beats faster, you begin to pant, and the blood rushes to your pelvic area where muscle tension builds. In males, this leads to an erection of the penis. In females, it leads to a hardening of the clitoris and wetting of the walls of the vagina. Penetration of the penis into the vagina intentionally or accidentally the first time or the 100th is sexual intercourse. The penis moving in and out of the vagina increases stimulation. Many positions are possible, but position will not make a difference in your ability to get pregnant. Muscle tension builds, finally leading to orgasm and ejaculation marked by intense muscular contractions and feelings of pleasure. The muscles relax, the blood leaves the pelvic area, breathing and heart rate slow. It's all over. Right? Wrong. Sex is more than a good feeling. Sex has consequences and risk. The first consequence of sex is pregnancy. 300 to 500 million sperm are in one ejaculation, and all of them are trying frantically to find and join an egg. It only takes one. The fertilized egg moves down the tube to the uterus, where it attaches itself to the lining and begins to grow. Are you ready for motherhood? Is he ready for fatherhood? And how do you feel about abortion? The emotional risk of sex are high. Are you sure you know this person? Is there trust, liking, love, respect between you? Afterwards is the wrong time to ask these questions. The physical risks of sex are high. Syphilis, gonorrhea, venereal warts, trichomoniasis are just a few of the sexually transmitted diseases which, if not cured, can cause later problems. But if you get herpes, you've got it for life. If you get AIDS, you'll lose your life. Sex can be one of the great joys of being human, but responsibility and judgment are required to live with the consequences and evaluate the risk. Now, any questions before we go on? The first method that we're going to talk about is withdrawal. It's not one that I would recommend for teenagers or that anyone recommends for teenagers, and I really don't have anything I can pass around to show you. It does not work. But it's something that teenagers think will protect them against pregnancy. And what they don't understand is that many times in withdrawal, the penis comes out, and before the guy realizes it, that he has already ejaculated, and a small amount of semen have actually either into the vagina or is right at the mouth of the vagina, so that the sperm can travel up the vagina and get into the fallopian tubes and actually fertilize the eggs. Sean, did you have a question?
Yes, when you say, like, you know, sperm swim and things, like, can you pick them up, like, if you in a bathroom or something? I might be on the toilet. Like they get on, like, on your leg or something, and they swim.
Sperm, you know, do have little tails. They travel in fluid, which is the semen, but sperm are very fragile, so they die right outside of the body. The air, the temperature outside of the body would cause the sperm to die. The next method we're going to talk about is natural family planning, and this came up last night. Sonia mentioned a question about body temperature. This is another method that doesn't work real well for teenagers because you have to be real committed to it. And it means that you have to check your body temperature every day so that when you're ovulating, you can begin to see a decrease in your temperature at the very time that your body is producing the egg. During those times, during those 6 to 7 days when you think you might be ovulating, then you abstain. You do not have sexual intercourse. Now, we talk about barrier methods, and one way that you can prevent pregnancy is to prevent the sperm from entering into the uterus where it actually fertilizes the egg. And these are called barrier methods, and you do not have to have a prescription. You do not have to go to the doctor to obtain the foam, cream, and jellies. And I want to pass around some samples of the foam. What we have now, especially for young people, is that we have the disposable types of foam that come in a little pack that looks, and you can feel free to open that, look at it, push the plunger through, feel the cream that's on the inside. It's a nice feeling cream. It's very simple to use, and it's disposable. It's throwaway. That's the foam, and that is called a spermicidal foam. You take the bottom of that off, take the plunger off, and insert it in the end, the other end, right, and turn it around, and then push gently, and you'll see foam come through. There you are. And the way that acts is that it's a barrier. Once the foam is placed inside of the vagina, then as the sperm enter, the foam will capture the sperm and, of course, kill the sperm. And in using this method, you have to make sure that it's used each time before sexual intercourse, that the foam is not washed out for at least 8 hours afterwards. The foam is 82% effective when it's used correctly. That's not so good. They also say that it interferes with the spontaneity of enjoying sex, so they don't want to use it. You have to share the information with your partner. He has to be encouraged to help you use this, to take the time to use it. It can be inserted 20 minutes before intercourse. If it's used correctly, it can be effective. Now, it's even more effective when it's used with the condom. And I want to pass around the rubber, the sheath. The effectiveness of your foam increases if you have your partner to use the condom. There needs to be a little collecting container at the very end of that condom, but it also is one way of protecting against BD. So it's real important that we encourage our males to use the condom. It's 90% effective if used correctly. Now, they should not be used over, they should not be washed and hung out. This next method, the diaphragm, has to be prescribed for you. It has to be fitted by a physician. And I'm going to pass around 2 of the diaphragms. One, you have a nice little case that it comes in. It is also considered a method that will prevent the sperm from entering the uterus. And it's soft rubber, and it's used with a jelly. And it's much more effective when it is used